So we've come out here to the northeast corner of Oklahoma, Afton, Oklahoma.
Afton, Oklahoma.
To see Darryl Starbird, one of the greatest show car builders in history. Bill Cushenbery and Darryl were friends in the very beginning of their careers back in Wichita, Kansas, right?
Right.
And back in the 50s. Tell us about those early days with you and Bill.
I started my shop in 1954. I called it Star Custom Shop. Bill was a friend at that time. He hung around the shop a lot and always talked cars, and we were friends in that relation. Went lunch together occasionally, and just friends, normal friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the bright idea of putting in his own shop, and he called it Kansas Custom Shop.
Oh.
And it was about 8 or 10 blocks from my shop, and he even stole a few of my customers. But he only lasted in that shop maybe a year and a half at the longest. And he built a few cars in that time, not many, because cars were, at that era and that time, I had started my shop up. Custom cars were practically unheard of in
or hot rods.
Yeah,
people had hot rods, yeah, but not like these cars.
Not custom cars as such. A few hot rods, but not many. Most of it was all taking place on the West Coast, in California.
Barris was already in action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Winfield was already in. See, when I was in high school, they were already in business.
Oh, right.
And they were my idols, so to speak, when I was in high school.
They were your inspiration.
I wanted to grow up to be George Barris.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
and their cars were in the magazines, and
right.
you were looking at the magazines.
That's where I got it from, the magazines. And Bill, he built a car for himself, a 50 Oldsmobile. It was really well done and for that period of time, was really a radical car. And when he got to California, he started up his shop there in Monterey, of course. Of course, him being close to me and related business-wise, he kind of spread the rumors that he was working Darryl Starbird to kind of get started.
So that's where it started.
That's where it all started.
Okay.
You know. Before he got to his shop for a couple of years, he'd come to my shop, hung around. I think he might have sanded the car or something like that, small for it. But he never really worked for me on a salary type basis. But Bill's a heck of a craftsman, and he was even then. He was a real good metal man, and learned it just like I did from seat of our pants. We just started doing it and just learned as we went.
Yeah.
And in them days, we didn't have fillers. We had to use lead.
Right.
When you heat it up, it warps it more and gets worse and worse.
Right. And all this was handmade. You didn't have English wheels or all the the kind of tools and stuff. I mean, you were just hammers and.
Yeah, acetylene torch and a hammer and a grinding, a 9-inch disc grinder and a paint gun. Very minimum tools.
But shaping metal, making the curves, making these pieces by pounding it.
Right.
Wow.
Like if I wanted a roll pan, for instance, it's got a nice roll to it.
Right.
I'd do that over a telephone pole. I'd just take that piece of sheet metal out there, 40 inches tall, and pull it around that telephone. I had a nice pole outside the shop.
Right. A lot cheaper than an English wheel.
Right, exactly. Compound curves. I had an old tree, probably about 24 inches in diameter, and it had been sawed off. I cut a little dip in that tree to go out there and pound a lot on that tree.
Somebody told me that you have a hole here on your property
right outside the shop over here.
That you put the metal in and you pound on, and that's where you come up with these curves.
Right, compound curve, yeah. A lot of mine is done with what we call a dead blow hammer. It looks like rubber, but it's got a weight inside of it that slides up when you pound it. Really hits hard on it.
Yeah, interesting.
And I use that a lot on contour panels.
Is that the way most of the guys back then, I mean, Barris and those guys, were they doing
Everybody
did it like that?
No, not exactly like that, because I was probably the first one to do handmade cars, period. I mean, from scratch up type. Most everybody else used a piece off of another car. If they wanted a contour curve, they'd go to a salvage yard and find the top and cut it out and use that compound piece to fit where they wanted to build it.
Yeah.
I built the first really hand-built car. Was a Futurista, handmade from scratch up, and all out of tubing. And it's in stations, down there. Tubes are up like this, and if you had a round side, it would be about every 12 inches. I'd have a station, a conduit to take that shape. Then I'd pull my skin over that, and then I'd weld a seam and hammer on the seam, take a dolly behind it, and pound on it. Called hammer welding, and that's where I did most all my forming. Bill and I, we were friends long after that. He come here to the museum. We inducted him as one of the original 13 guys
Right, right.
inducted into it. And I think he attended every induction
Every
ceremony.
year? Or
Every
do you
year
do it every year or every 2 years?
that he's there. Well, at that time we were doing it every year.
Uh-huh.
And he was here every year for it. And was a great supporter, and we were always friends.
Always
From
friends, yeah.
getting that.
Just before we go, the Space Coupe was here when Carl first found it. He brought it out here,
Right.
and you helped him patch it together. No restoration,
Right, no.
just patched it together enough. And it was in your museum, sat in
Oh, yeah.
the museum for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Before he brought it back
Yeah,
to California
right, exactly.
when I got
We
involved
probably
with
had
it.
it about 5 years total.
Yeah.
I would guess something like that. Put a little bubble top on it.
Yeah, it fit quite nicely. Did you know about the Space Coupe when Bill was working on it?
Bill told me about the car
Uh-huh.
numerous times. Yeah, every time he's here, we talk about it. I thought he was going to finish it.
Yeah, sure he did
And
too. Anyway, it went south,
Yeah.
and he walked away from the car. And he mentioned it that last interview that he did here at your place in 1997. They asked him, "Did you do any other cars?" And he said, "Yeah, well, there was this one that got away, and it was going to be a wild thing with gull wings and a bolt top." And he described, and he's talking about the Space Coupe. He never mentioned the name. The silhouette was this one solid bubble that hinged
Oh, yeah.
that hinged at the front. The Space Coupe started out that way. Jim Roten told us that originally it was going to have no doors. It was just low enough to the ground you just stepped in, and it was a solid bubble that hinged from the front, just like the silhouette. And we have pictures from 1963 of Bill working on this car in that configuration, no doors, solid bubble, in 63 in the shop in Monterey. However, when he moved down to North Hollywood, one of the jobs that came into his shop were these Mercedes 300 SL, the famous gull wing doors. Bill obviously fell in love with these gull wing doors. Presto, gull wing doors. I'm calling them bat wings now because gull wings open like this.
Yeah, right.
They open like this.
I'll be darned.
You know how bats' wings, they they
okay.
come from the shoulders up like this. So
Huh, I'll be
I
darned.
don't know if bat wings works, but they're not gull wings.
Yeah.
So I don't know
For
what
sure.
I can't. but-
Batwing sounds good to me.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you again, Darryl. Thanks so much for everything that you've given to the world of custom cars and make life on Earth a lot more pleasurable.
Well, actually, the pleasurable part was mine.
Yeah,
Being able to build what you wanted your whole life.
amazing. Yeah,
And your hobby before that.
you've had kind of a blessed life.
I've had a very blessed
Yeah,
life.
you got to do what you wanted to do.
Exactly, and managed to support that and
Yeah.
make a good living.
And still
have
doing
about
it.
everything we wanted.
You got 2 cars in the shop right now.
Yep.
Jeez, I can't wait to see the office when it's done.
Well, it's gonna be different.
When do you think it's going to be ready?
Well, I'm hoping to debut it in February.
Mm.
My next show in Tulsa.
Maybe the Space Coupe should be in that show.
It should be if you get it done. That's the biggest car show there is inside.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here we come with Space Coupe. Thank you
Good.
once again.
My pleasure.
We'll see you soon.
I've been-
Stay tuned. Today we have a very special guest coming to visit the Space Coupe. He should be arriving any minute. Gene Winfield.
So this is a piece of artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're heading. It opens this configuration like this
Right.
for you to get in and out of.
Yeah.
But I've just got to add some more shim. And I'm still doing these edges now. This was here. There was no floor.
What thickness is this?
On the aluminum, that's 062. And it'll sit on the frame.
And this will be power.
Yeah, this will have an actuator on it. And it's all part of the body, all this doors, so we can lift it all off the chassis
Yeah.
frame.
Looks good.
Yeah, it's coming along. I mean, just making all these edges and trying to fill in. I put a patch in it because it just had a hole. You know, I mean, there's a lot of it was existing, but over the years, it's just been, used by a ton of people. There's a lot of body work and.
You know something? I was with Darryl Starbird 2 weeks ago,
Oh, did
and when we were talking, he said that you and George Barris were his inspiration to get started.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how long you've been building cars, that you inspired Darryl Starbird.
I'm 91 now.
Wow.
I broke my hip last year in Finland, and they did a GoFundMe thing and developed a bunch of money and flew home on a medical flight. And my hip's all fine. I'm back working. I'm doing 5 Mercuries right now. And I've got a 54 Chevy from Australia, and it was already chopped, but the chop was terrible. I cut it off and threw it away. And I put a 57 Olds top on it. It was a post car.
Right.
So I took the post out, and I'm making hardtop windows that roll up and down and slide in. And I made my own tail lights, and it's going to be a nice car.
Wow.
And I'm building a 40 Ford convertible
That's a nice car.
for the Riddler.
Oh, okay. For Riddler?
For the Riddler, yeah. And I got a big Ford Camry engine and it's supercharged, and then we made my own rocker covers and then a cover over the intake manifolds, all aluminum. A young fellow come over from Austria and made that part of it for me, and all hand pounded, just a gorgeous piece of art. It's a real piece of art. You won't see any pulleys or anything. It's all covered. The instrument panel, you walk up and push a button. A red biplane shows up and rolls over, changes into a rocket, and then the rocket explodes and the engine starts.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
So it's quite new, and
that's all digital. It's like sort of digital display.
That's done in being done in Finland. So it's going to be quite a car.
Aren't you taking some cars to Santa Maria next week?
Yeah, I'm going to have 3 cars there. The Jade Idol, original Jade Idol, will be back there. It was there last year. And then my new pickup, I have a 1980 Dodge mini truck. I chopped it and painted it gold, and it has a Tornado engine in the back. The chassis for that 40 was built by Boyd Coddington.
Okay.
And it has a height rear end and a height front end. And the car is a tribute to a car that Valley Custom built in 1948. It's chopped and sectioned and everything.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It sounds like it'd be nice. I mean, it's got to be really good to go into Riddler.
This is my favorite hammer.
I use it a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
I get 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 of them.
Yes.
One time you had told me about after Bill lost the car, walked away from the car, that you saw it on the street or somewhere.
I saw it at a body shop, and I recognized it, and then I called up Bill and told him it was there, and I said, I want to buy it. He got mad. He didn't want me to buy it because he didn't want it to be a Gene Winfield car, and I wouldn't have done that anyway. I would have, definitely had it originally built by Bill Cushenbery.
Do you remember where it was? What shop it was in?
No,
Yeah.
It was in North Hollywood, but I don't remember. I was just driving.
It wasn't his old shop that he had left.
No, it's after he lost it.
Right.
Yeah, and then I didn't know that it was at Bob Butz's place.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was there. I would have bought it.
Yeah, nobody knew until it was found.
Sitting there in the weeds.
I know. It was in a couple of other shops that we know of in between.
Yeah.
But the mysterious stories and how it got to Bob Butz,
Right.
nobody will ever know.